What if the person living with you already had a grave waiting for them? They shared food, laughter, midnight talks, and dreams of the future. One was currently a student. The other wasn't even supposed to be here. The first time Tyler saw Mason, it was under the blistering August sun, just outside the admission office. Students were everywhere, carrying folders, checking boards, making calls. It was chaos. But Tyler's eyes locked onto a boy sitting alone on a concrete bench. His shoulders sagged with quiet tension. A single bag sat at his feet. His hand trembled as he flipped through paperwork. Tyler had seen that look before. The same one he wore in freshman year. Lost, stressed, borderline hopeless. He walked over. "You good, man?" The boy looked up. He had a gentle face, soft brown eyes, and a hesitant smile. "Yeah. Just trying to sort out my admission. Something's missing." Tyler nodded. "Been there. I'm Tyler. Second year." The boy stood and shook his hand. Mason. Mason Hill. That was the beginning. Tyler didn't know why he did it. But that evening, he invited Mason to crash at his apartment, just until things got sorted. It was a small studio, barely enough for one person. But Mason was polite, respectful, and eager to help. He cleaned up, cooked better than most restaurants nearby, and even fixed Tyler's broken blender without being asked. They got along really well. Mason became more than a guest. He became a brother. They played video games deep into the night, read side by side when midterms came creeping in, and shared cheap meals that Mason somehow made delicious. "Cooking calms me," he'd say. "It's one thing I know how to do right." He was obsessed with getting his own space. Each weekend, he bought little things. A pot, a pillow, cutlery, even a tiny carpet. "Just preparing," he'd say with a grin. Sometimes he spoke strangely, like the night he whispered, "I wasn't supposed to be here, you know?" Tyler thought he meant the school. "None of us were," he replied, laughing. "But here we are." Then came that day, the one Tyler could never explain to anyone. They were almost out of food, and Mason, excited as always, said, "Let's go to the market. I feel like making something special tonight." They joked the whole way. Mason argued about which tomatoes were juicier, whether they needed fresh basil or not. And then, just as they turned into the vegetable stall, a voice cut through the crowd like a blade. "Mason." A woman mid-30s stood frozen, her face drained of color. She dropped the basket in her hands. Mason's smile faded. He turned slowly. "No, not now," he whispered. Then, he collapsed. Right there. Lifeless. Cold. Tyler dropped the bag in his hand and rushed to him, yelling his name. But Mason didn't respond. His body was already turning pale. The woman stood trembling, tears welling in her eyes. Tyler shouted, "Do you know him?" She nodded slowly. "I do. I know him very well." Then she asked in a voice that shook like wind in winter, How do you know him?" "He's my roommate," Tyler replied, confused and scared. "We live together. He's new here." She stared at him for a long, painful moment. Then her lips quivered as she spoke the words that would destroy Tyler's reality. "Mason Hill died last year. He was shot by a stray bullet while trying to process his admission. He never even made it to school. I was there when they buried him." People gathered around. Whispers swelled like waves in a storm. Tyler couldn't speak. His mouth was dry. He could feel his heartbeat pounding against his ribs like it was trying to escape. Mason. His Mason. The roommate who made him lemon tea when he had the flu. The boy who argued with him about which pasta was better, elbow macaroni or penne. The same boy who made playlists for when they studied, when they cleaned, when they couldn't sleep, was lying on the market floor, lifeless. The woman, shaking, was still staring. She took slow, careful steps toward Tyler. He was cradling Mason's head, confused, panicked, sweating, and crying all at once. "I don't understand," he said in a choked whisper. "He was just fine. We were just buying vegetables." He made a list. He was joking about stew. She knelt beside them. "My name is Clara," she said softly. "I'm from his town. I was his Sunday school teacher. I watched him grow." Tyler looked up, eyes wide, throat clenched. He said he was from Brooksville, Tyler said. He said his mom lived on Maple Avenue. Clara nodded slowly. That's true. But Mason was shot last year, right outside the local cyber cafe while printing his admission slip. It was a stray bullet from a police chase. The bullet went straight through his back. He died on the spot. Tyler's lips trembled. No, you're lying. I've been with him. We've lived together for weeks. We played video games. He makes pancakes every Sunday. He told me he couldn't wait to finally get his own place. He was even buying dishes. Clara closed her eyes. I went to his funeral, Tyler. I stood beside his mother while she screamed. I saw his body lowered into the ground. He wore the exact same shirt he's wearing right now. Tyler's stomach twisted. The air felt like it was made of glass, thin, sharp, dangerous. He looked down at Mason's body. Same olive green shirt. The one he claimed he bought just last week during a clearance sale at the mall. The one he said was his lucky shirt. His fingers trembled. He checked Mason's pulse again, desperate. Still nothing. Clara leaned in closer, her voice quiet, like she was confessing a sin. I don't know why you could see him, or why he came back, but I know this. He's not supposed to be here. And now, he's gone again. Tyler felt his world tilt. Nothing made sense. Back at the apartment, there were textbooks with Mason's notes. A sketchbook filled with floor plans of how he wanted to decorate his dream apartment. A mug that read Future Top Chef. A gift from Tyler. He had proof. He had memories. Conversations. Clothes. Laughter. Late-night talks about their dreams and disappointments. Mason was real. Mason was there. So how? How could someone say that he had been dead this whole time? Later that evening, Tyler sat alone in his apartment, staring at the couch where Mason usually curled up with a blanket to watch movies. He looked at the controller, Mason's controller, resting on the table. He tried to smell the air, searching for the scent of garlic and thyme Mason always used in his cooking. Nothing. He checked the wardrobe, his side empty. The sneakers Mason bought? Gone. The food stuff they bought together? Only the portion Tyler picked out remained. The mug? No longer in the kitchen rack. Like he had never existed at all. But then, Tyler's phone buzzed. Unknown number. One image received. He opened it. It was a photo. Grainy. Faint. Almost like it had been taken through fog. It was a selfie. Of Mason. Standing in the kitchen. Wearing that same olive green shirt. Smiling, with tears in his eyes. Tyler didn't sleep that night. He sat on the cold floor of his apartment, the photo still glowing on his phone screen. It wasn't just a trick of the light or a distorted memory. It was him, Mason, wearing the same olive green shirt, standing exactly where he stood so many nights before. In the tiny kitchenette they used to joke about being too humble for greatness. His eyes sad, his smile faint, and tears that hadn't been there before. Tyler zoomed in. The date stamp read, today, 5:47 p.m., exactly 7 minutes after Mason collapsed at the market. Tyler's hands were shaking. Was it a message? A goodbye? A haunting? The room felt colder. The walls, once so familiar, now pressed in like they were watching him. And then he remembered something. Mason's notebook, the black one with the cracked spine. The one he scribbled thoughts and dreams into when he didn't feel like talking. Tyler had once opened it and seen a list. Get admitted. Find a roommate. Get a fan. Learn pasta with cream. Save for my own place. Visit home. Help Tyler. That last line had always confused him. Help Tyler. He thought it was just a joke. But now, it felt like something deeper. Something unfinished. The next morning, Tyler walked back to the market. The sun was out, but everything felt colder. People moved normally, haggling, calling, frying food, but it all felt like a distant echo. He found the exact spot Mason had collapsed. The tomatoes were gone. So was the vendor. Nothing was left to mark the place where a boy between life and death had once stood. He looked around. Then he heard her voice. Hey! It was Clara, the woman who recognized Mason. She had come back. I figured you'd return, she said gently. Tyler's throat felt dry. I don't know why any of this happened, but he was real to me. Clara nodded. I believe you. Tyler stared. You do. Clara sat beside a low bench inside. My grandmother used to say, sometimes, when a spirit leaves with something unfinished, it gets a chance to return, briefly. Not to haunt, not to hurt, but to complete. Tyler clenched his jaw. He kept saying he wanted to fix things, that he was meant to be here. Clara looked at him carefully. Did he tell you what he lost when he died? Tyler thought. He mentioned his admission, that he never got into school. She nodded. That was his dream. He worked for it his entire life. His mother told me the morning he died, he was supposed to collect his admission letter. She said he left smiling. Said it was the happiest day of his life. Tyler blinked rapidly, swallowing emotion. He deserved to live. Yes, Clara said. But maybe he just needed someone, anyone, to know what he never got to do. Maybe that's why he found you. Tyler suddenly remembered all the small moments. Mason crying softly at night when he thought Tyler was asleep. Mason holding onto documents like they were sacred. Mason saying, I wasn't supposed to be here, but I'm glad I am. He wasn't just staying. He was trying. That evening, Tyler went back to their apartment. He walked straight to the closet, pulled out the cracked black notebook, and opened to the last page. There was something new, a message that hadn't been there before, written in Mason's handwriting. Thank you, brother. Now you know the truth. Please help me go home. Tyler staggered back, heart pounding. Then, the window creaked open, and the air suddenly smelled like garlic and thyme. Mason's scent. A whisper passed by his ear. Not in words, just a presence. A goodbye. Tyler stared at the words again. Please help me go home. No address. No phone number. No clue. Just those words, scratched onto the last page of a notebook that had sat untouched since Mason died again. The apartment felt too quiet now. There was no clatter of pans in the kitchen. No hum of Mason singing while preparing rice or eggs. No faint chuckle when Tyler lost a video game. No clumsy footsteps in the morning when Mason rushed for class he never actually had. And yet, everything inside still felt like Mason. Like he was in the walls. The fabric. The air. Tyler stood in the center of the room, heart thudding. Where is home for the dead? The next day, Tyler visited the school registry. It was a long shot, but something told him there would be traces. Some small evidence of Mason's efforts to come back. The woman at the front desk looked up as he approached. Yes. I'm trying to find the record of a student or someone who applied. Mason Hill. She hesitated. Your family? Tyler almost said yes, but he shook his head. No, just someone close. She typed slowly, then stopped. Her eyes narrowed slightly. He never completed registration. Mason Hill applied here last year, but the documents were marked closed due to death. It says he was supposed to come in for biometric verification the morning the morning of the incident. Tyler swallowed hard. Did he submit anything? She hesitated again. Actually, yes. She disappeared into the file room and returned with a manila folder. Inside it were admission forms, application letters, a handwritten essay titled, Why I Want to Study Here. Tyler scanned the paper. Mason's handwriting. Neat. Focused. Emotional. My mother never went to school. My father died before I could remember his face. But books raised me. I want to be more than what they said I'd be. I want to cook, build, fix, and understand the world. I want to leave something behind. Tyler's chest tightened. The woman handed him something else. A photo. It was a passport picture. Mason smiling gently into the camera. Same olive green shirt. He took it like it was glass. Then the woman said something strange. We had no record of where to return his documents. Everything was left here. Tyler blinked. No one came for them? No one tried to finish what he started? Suddenly, the words came back to him. Please help me go home. That night, Tyler packed everything that once belonged to Mason. His cracked phone, the notes, the pen he always used, the playlist he saved on their shared speaker, the spoon he always said was perfect for fried eggs. He packed it all in a duffel bag. He didn't know Mason's address, but he remembered what Mason once said during a late-night conversation. Our house isn't big, but it smells like cinnamon and old books. We live right across from the White Chapel in Brooksville. Tyler had never been there, but he knew now that he had to go. The drive to Brooksville was 3 hours. 3 long, winding, silent hours with nothing but Mason's belongings in the back seat and a dull ache in Tyler's chest. The town was quiet. Old trees lined the main road. The chapel came into view, white, with a steeple slightly tilted from age. Across from it stood a tiny bungalow, faded green paint, laundry on the line, flower pots missing their flowers. A woman stood at the gate, elderly, her back bent slightly. Tyler parked. His hands shook as he stepped out. "Ma'am." She looked up slowly. Her eyes were clouded with time, but alert. "Yes. Do you know someone named Mason Hill?" The woman paused. Then her lips trembled. "I'm his mother." Tyler's heart stopped for a moment. I lived with him," he said, voice cracking. I didn't know until it was too late." Her eyes filled instantly. She clutched the gate like it was the only thing holding her together. "I knew he wasn't gone. I still set his plate. I still hear footsteps in his room." Tyler reached into the bag and pulled out the photo from the admission file. "I think he just wanted to come home." She touched the photo like it was a newborn. Then she broke into sobs. Raw, deep, painful sobs that shook her entire frame. "I never got to see him in that shirt. They buried him in it. I begged to keep it, but they said it was already stained." Tyler took a deep breath. He wore it again. She looked at him through blurred eyes. "I want to see his grave," he said softly. She nodded slowly. "It's not far." The cemetery sat behind the chapel. Moss-covered stones, crooked fences, and silence that felt sacred. She led him to a small corner, under a tree. The headstone was simple. Mason Elijah Hill, 2004 to 2023. Still chasing the stars. Tyler knelt. He placed the folder beside the grave. The documents, the photo, the notebook, the pen. Then, as the breeze picked up, a leaf floated down and landed right on the word home. Tyler whispered, "You made it, Mason." And for a moment, just a flicker, he felt a warmth behind him, like someone finally resting. Tyler fulfilled Mason's last wish. He took him home. He laid down the documents. He spoke the goodbye. He let go. But what if Mason wasn't the only thing that crossed back from the other side? For a while, it felt like peace. The drive back from Brooksville was silent but calm. Tyler didn't play any music. He didn't even cry. He just drove, watching the trees go by like time itself was exhaling. For the first time in weeks, his chest didn't feel like it was caving in. He had done it. Mason's dream, to get into school, to be seen, to be known, had been acknowledged. And now, his belongings rested in the soil near his bones. Everything felt right, until the third night after he returned. It started small. The sound of water running in the kitchen. At exactly 3:17 a.m., Tyler woke up groggy, confused. He stumbled to the kitchen. The faucet was on. No one there. He turned it off and muttered to himself, "Maybe I left it dripping." But deep down, he knew he hadn't. The next night, it happened again. Same time, 3:17 a.m. Only this time, the frying pan Mason used, the black non-stick one, was sitting on the stove. And it was warm. Tyler stood frozen in the doorway, staring at it. Then he said, out loud, "Mason." Silence. Only the slow ticking of the wall clock and the soft, eerie hum of the refrigerator. The third night, Tyler woke not to sounds, but to smells. Garlic, thyme, eggs, cinnamon, all at once, like a chaotic memory of Mason's favorite meals blending in the air. His chest tightened. He rushed to the kitchen. Nothing on the stove, but something worse. The future Top Chef mug, the one Mason used every morning, was sitting on the counter. It hadn't been there since Mason vanished at the market. Tyler had searched for it. It had disappeared. Now it was back, with steam rising from it. Tyler couldn't take it anymore. He packed his things in the morning and drove to Clara's house in Brooksville. the woman who had first told him the truth at the market. She opened the door with a weary look. "I was expecting you," she said softly. Tyler sat down on her front porch, his hands trembling. "I took him home. I gave his mom the documents. I did everything. Why is this still happening?" Clara nodded slowly. "He was attached to you." Tyler frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked him dead in the eyes. "I mean he bonded with you. Stronger than anyone else. When a spirit returns, even briefly, they form emotional connections. You were his only witness, his only anchor." Tyler's heart raced. "So he's stuck." "No, but something is." Clara reached into a worn leather journal and flipped to a page. It was old, yellowed. It read, "Some spirits return with purpose, but not all of them leave alone. Grief, guilt, longing, they open doors. And sometimes, when the soul moves on, something darker stays behind." Tyler stood, pacing. "No, Mason wasn't dark. He was the kindest person I've ever met." Clara didn't argue. He wasn't the problem. But his pain, his sudden death, his unfinished dream, the confusion of living again. That pain left a mark. Something might have followed it. Tyler stopped pacing. His voice dropped. "What kind of something?" Clara looked down. "Not everything that returns wears the face of the one you loved." That night, Tyler returned home. But everything felt wrong now. The air was thicker. The walls made subtle creaks that didn't match the wind. His phone wouldn't stay charged, and his light flickered every time he entered the kitchen. Then he noticed it. A voice. Faint. Barely a whisper. But there. Coming from the living room. "Tyler." He turned quickly. No one. Then from behind. "Help me. I'm still here." He rushed to the door. It slammed shut. The future Top Chef mug shattered on the floor. Then, laughter. But not Mason's laugh. No. This one was deep, distorted, almost mocking. And then, the black notebook. It sat on the floor again. The last page was no longer blank. A new line had appeared. "You brought him home, but you forgot what he brought with him." The message in the notebook shook him to his core. "You brought him home, but you forgot what he brought with him." Tyler stared at the page. His hands trembled. What did it mean? He slammed the notebook shut and backed away. But the room had already shifted. The air thickened like smoke. The lights dimmed, not off, but flickering, pulsing, as if something in the wiring was breathing. Then came the sound again. Not footsteps. Dragging, like something with weight and no legs. From the hallway. Slow. Scraping. Coming closer. Tyler turned toward the door, but it was locked. No. Bolted shut. He spun toward the kitchen. The cabinets all hung open. The gas burner clicked on by itself. And above it, carved into the wall with something sharp. He wasn't the only one who came back. Tyler ran to the bathroom, slammed the door, and pressed his back against it. His breath was ragged. His phone wouldn't turn on. The lights above the mirror buzzed violently. He looked at himself, and then noticed something in the mirror. Behind him, a figure. Tall. Shadowed. No face. No reflection of Mason. Just the thing that followed him. Tyler turned. Nothing there. But in the mirror, it still stood. Watching. And then, it moved. Even though nothing moved in real life, the mirror version lunged toward him. The bathroom light shattered. He screamed. The mirror cracked into 100 spiderwebs of glass. When Tyler woke up, it was morning. He was lying on the bathroom floor. The house was quiet. Still. Too still. He walked out slowly. Everything was clean. The cabinet doors were closed. The mug was gone. Even the message on the wall, erased. As if nothing ever happened. Except for one thing. The notebook was sitting open on the coffee table. And the last page had been rewritten. In Mason's handwriting. Different from the shadows. "Thank you for bringing me home. I'm sorry something else came through. But it's gone now. I took it with me. You saved me. And I saved you." Tyler fell to his knees. Tears poured freely, part grief, part relief. He whispered, "You didn't deserve any of this, Mason." Then he heard it. Just once. Clear. Kind. Familiar. "Neither did you, bro." It came from the kitchen. But this time, there was no fear in the voice. Just love. Then silence. The peaceful kind. Later that day, Tyler called Clara and Mason's mother. He told them everything. Not the horror, no. He kept that buried like a sealed wound. But he told them what they needed to hear. Mason made it home. That night, he placed a single candle by the window. He lit it. He whispered, "Goodbye." And when the flame flickered twice and stood still, he smiled. And here's what chills me the most. This story, every haunting detail, wasn't just fiction. It was told to me by a close friend. He said it happened when he was still in university. A quiet boy, a shared room, a kindness that opened the door to something he still doesn't understand. He let that boy stay with him for weeks. Then one day, the boy vanished without a trace. No student record, no belongings, nothing, just memories and a silence that still follows him. This is a true story, and it's one of many whispered beneath the surface of everyday life. Since then, he always tells people, if someone feels familiar but you can't place why, walk away. Memory might not be the only thing reaching out to you. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret if you believe some stories are more than just stories, because what you're hearing is real.